maybe? Or no, you're gonna miss us because we are going to miss you all. That's for sure. So yes.
User questions. You're brilliant.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Yeah, you are guys really, really intelligent and brilliant. And we are sure that you have such a great future ahead. So let's get started. And this is our final roll call for this bootcamp. But remember that we will have more and more and more boot camps and sessions and like activities prepared for you. So this is not the last one. So for the last day, okay, Acuña Valeria. So remember to say here if you listen to your name. Aldrete Karen. Arenas Sofía. Barragán Luis. Bas Iker is here.
Here.
Hi Iker, welcome. Brondo Natalia.
Here.
Hi Natalia, how are you?
Fine, thank you.
Good, good, good. Caldera Pamela. Nope. Contla Antonella. She's here. Hi, Antonella. Covarrubias Giselle. De León Javier. Enríquez Valeria. Escalante Alan, he's here. Flores Andrea. Flores Andrea, nope. Guerrero María Ángel, nope. Gutiérrez Brisset.
Here.
Hi.
Hi.
Hernández Lisette.
Here.
Hi Lisette, welcome. Herrera Marian.
Hi, here.
Hello Marian. Jiménez William. López Hilary. Marín Pilar.
Here.
Hi Pilar, welcome. Medina Miguel. Mora Josué. Moreno Emily. Navarro Eiza. Neri María Fernanda. Pérez Sofía.
Here.
Hi Sofía. Ruelas Ana.
Hi.
Hi Ana, welcome. Sánchez Dana.
Here.
Hi Dana, welcome. Santana Ana Sofía. She's here.
Here.
Hello. Santander Miguel. Soto Catherine. Is Catherine here? Nope. She's not here. Valdés María Fernanda. Vargas Karina and Vargas Diego. Okay. So this was our last roll call. And as you could see in the first slide, we are really happy to have again our colleague and friend Rosario Vasquez from Xavier University. So as you know, guys, we'll start with an activity, and I will allow Rosario to take the control of the presentation and of the activity. So Rosario, welcome. The floor is yours.
Hello.
Hi.
Thank you. Hello, Marianne. Can you please let me know how many students we have?
We have, oops, sorry. We have, just give me one sec, 12 students.
12 students. Okay, wonderful. Yes. I just want to know to check the number of answers. So thank you so much.
Of course. And your slides are in the main presentation, so you can just let me know when you want to go to the next one.
Okay, perfect. So hello, everyone. As Mariana mentioned, my name is Rosario Vasquez. I am the university representative of Xavier University. Today, well, we're going to start with an activity. I tried to make it the theme so that we start to get ready for the presentation afterwards. So I'm not sure if you know, but today's presentation is about financial aid. So during the activity, I'm just going to kind of like undiscover certain myths that we have around scholarships on financial aid, just so that we can get ready, and hopefully by the end of my presentation, all of your questions will be answered. So, okay, Mariana, let's start. Okay, myth number one. And then I'm gonna say the myth, and please reply or speak up. You can all unmute if you want. This is meant to be very interactive, so please just you're not gonna be disrespectful if you interrupt me, so don't worry about it. Okay, so the first myth is scholarships are the only way for me to get financial aid. Who can tell me if this is true or false? Okay, everyone is replying on the chat. Wonderful, that's good. Great. Okay, most of you said it was false. I'm glad we agree. Yes, that is correct. It is true, scholarships are not the only way for you to get financial aid. I think this is something that students get too much focus on. I'm not saying scholarships are not important, they are, but there are many ways that you can get financial aid. Scholarships are not the only way. They are granted by, scholarship can be granted by different organizations, foundations, and universities. But even within the same university, financial aid is not the only, scholarships are not the only way for you to get financial aid. So that is myth number one, and that is false. And again, I'm going to provide more information about it on my presentation. So yeah, next one. So the second myth, I can start looking for financial aid after I have my offer letter. Is it true or is it false? Ooh, I like this. Different answers. This is getting interesting. Well, most of you okay. Great. Well, I mean, most of you think that is true, but unfortunately, it is false. I can understand why many of you would think that that is true, because in many cases, one of the requirements for you to actually apply to, financial aid is that you already have an offer from the university where, you want to study. But remember, the myth is I can start looking for, I can see a misspelling right there in financial, but I can start looking for financial aid after I have my offer letter. You should start looking way before. I would actually suggest you start looking if you already know that you are going to be needing any type of financial aid. I would already have all of the information that you need even before you apply to the university. So you need to start looking for financial aid way before even you decide what you want to study, or you decide where you want to go to university. Which, by the way, I can see that a few of you were in my chat of the other day. So you can tell me, when did we say last time? Probably this is a little bit mean of me, but you can start telling me, when did we landed last time that it was the right amount of time for you to start looking for a university or a program? And maybe you can let know the other students that are here as well. Does anyone remember? A year and a half. Wonderful. Yes, so people did listen to me. Wonderful. So around that time, a year and a half, is also the time I would actually suggest for you to start looking for financial aid. And again, this does not mean that you're going to apply for financial aid at that moment, because as I mentioned, in many cases, one of the requirements is going to be that you already have an offer letter from the institution where you're going to study. In some other cases, the scholarship that, you know, like you might be interested in applying, it's going to be a scholarship that is, you know, maybe a partnership with an organization, but also with the university. So they are going to want to know you want to go to that specific university. So because of that, yes, you need to have the offer letter. Having said that, you need to start looking at the same time when you start looking for university, so that you already know what are the requirements, what is it that you need. And especially because if you already have the decision of which university and, you know, the program and the type of organizations that you want to apply to for financial aid, you're going to want to do it in time. So you're going to have your offer letter and apply by early action, which is something we discussed before, right? That it is really important to apply by early action. And this is the reason why. This is one of the reasons why, because you want to have all of your information ready so that you can apply for financial aid. Okay? Okay, perfect, wonderful. Next question. Okay, my screen is looking. Okay. I can only have access to one type of financial aid. Is that true or false? Okay, great. Yes, most of you said false. That is correct. It is false. And you can have access to multiple types of financial aid. And again, this is something I'm going to talk a little bit more during the presentation. But as we're going to see, there are different types of financial aids. There are scholarships, you know, like merit-based scholarships, need-based scholarships, you know, so athletic scholarships, and you can have access to all of them. So this does not mean that, you know, if let's say you apply to a scholarship of the university, in my case, Xavier University, and you got our merit-based scholarship, that does not mean that you cannot apply to an extra amount of scholarship outside. So that meaning an organization, a foundation, you know, a private company. So there are different types of financial aids that you can get at the same time, so that you can reduce the cost of the university for you and your parents. By the way, do we have any parent here, Mariana?
I'm not sure if right now, but we will have them in Guardians as well, for the breakout, breakout room sessions.
Oh, okay, wonderful. Okay, great, perfect. Okay, so yes, so you can apply to different types of financial aids just because, you know, for instance, I'm speaking on behalf of Xavier right now. So if you receive a scholarship from Xavier, that we're not going to ban you from getting a financial aid from other organizations. The opposite. That is something I actually encourage a lot of students to do. Don't limit your options to only to what the university can offer you. Okay, so next myth. Okay, only my grades matter to obtain a scholarship. Is this true or false? Okay. Wonderful. Yeah, correct. It is false. Only your grades are not the only thing that matter. Unfortunately, scholarships and getting into a good university has become extremely competitive among international students. You do need to take into account something, and is that when we're talking about scholarships, you're not the only ones, and you're not like we're not evaluating only Mexican students or Latin American students. We're evaluating all international students of all around the world. So we're gonna have so many talented, great students with amazing grades that many of them are going to be very similar. So because of that, we need to take into consideration other aspects or other factors when evaluating who can obtain a scholarship and who can't. Okay. So please make sure, and this is when, again, please, and this is something I mentioned on my last talk, please make sure you access or you ask your university representative, because sometimes the scholarships really do depend on how good you have filled your application. Take the resources that Education USA can offer you when filling out your application, because sometimes we do take that into consideration. And I'm not talking about the grammar of your essay, but it's more regarded that sometimes what I have realized with Latin American students is that you guys do so much, but you don't put that on your application of the university because you think that that is not relevant, and I have seen it with a few of my students. I had one student that volunteered a lot in their church, and they were not going to put that on their application, and it wasn't until afterwards when we were having a one-to-one conversation when he told me, oh no, it's just like I have a church thing. And then I'm a curious person, so I asked them for a little bit more of information, and I realized he was an active volunteer at their church. So that is something that has to be on your application process, and that can help you to obtain a little bit more of a scholarship. So this is why it's so important that you work closely with someone that can help you. Take advantage of the resources that you have, which, by the way, are for free. I don't charge for that. I already charge the university for that, for this. So you guys don't have to worry. I already have a job. So I'm not going to charge any student for my advice. And if a university representative tells you they charge, that is not true. They're probably just joking. Because all of the university representatives, we work to represent a university. So all of the work that we do, all of the advice, all of the help that we give you with the application is completely free, okay? And same thing with Education USA. So next question. Sorry, do we have any questions with this? I feel like I have been moving very fast, but please stop me if you have any questions, or just raise your hand if you have any questions so far. No? Okay, great. Let's move on then. Okay, I don't need to do too much work to obtain a scholarship. Is this true or false? Okay, so the right answer is false. You do need to do a lot of work to obtain a scholarship, and it kind of relates of what I was discussing before. You need to make sure you have a good essay. You need to make sure all of your transcripts are translated, because we're going to have a look at your grades. You need to make sure that you have a good personal statement. You need to make sure that all of the extracurricular activities that you have been involved with are described in your application. You will need to do a lot of research. And when I mean a lot of research, is a lot of research. This research cannot be done within a week. It cannot be done within 2 weeks. It sometimes takes months to be able to gather this research. And the reason for this, and I might dive in, like you're gonna see something in the presentation that I'm going to discuss a little bit further, but sometimes scholarships don't come up until the applications are open. So sometimes even I don't know about all of the scholarships that are available at a certain point, because it might be that they are only open or that they're only advertised during the moment of application, or in many cases they are not even published. So that this is why you need to put a lot of work into doing a lot of research to check which scholarships are, you know, like related to you. One of the things I highly advise the students to do is that when they are applying to a scholarship, a grant, or financial aid outside of the university, is to double check if they actually can apply. Sometimes the requirements of the scholarships, and this is something we're going to see afterwards, are not that clear. So my advice is, you know, send all of those requirements and ask someone from that organization to let you know if you can actually apply, because you don't want to apply to that organization and then, or to that type of financial aid, and then for them afterwards to tell you, so sorry, but you actually don't fulfill and like a lot of our requirements, just because there is always the small letter that, you know, we don't know about. So yeah, this is why research and, you know, applying to as many financial aid, different financial aids is so important. Okay, next. Okay, I'm hoping that after everything I have done, this one will be super easy, but I can leave everything for the last minute. Is it true or false? Okay,
I
I
think
hope that
Iker can. I think Iker said that it is true. So we'll
I
see, we'll
hope
see.
I hope the people that wrote true is just because they're joking. So guys, no, false. I think I have, you know, emphasized so much in the last chat that we have and in this one as well. And it's something I keep on emphasizing because I don't know why, but our culture loves to leave everything for the last minute. And when I mean the last minute is that on the last day, you're not our only student. We have 20, 30 more. And then if we have half of the students leaving everything for the last minute, there is nothing we can do. We're not magicians. And this is, I know this might come a little bit strong, but please believe me when I say that there is nothing I can do on December 1st at 5 p.m. I cannot help you afterwards. Everything that happens 4 months before, I will do everything for you. But on the last day, on the last minute, there is nothing I can do for you, okay? These are things that are bigger than us. This is, you know, like very strict deadlines that we cannot do anything, you know, to move them. So please make sure you do everything ahead of time. If you want to apply, like if you know the deadline is December 1st to apply, make sure you have everything ready by November. Make sure that that is your deadline. November 1st should be your deadline, so that you can review everything afterwards, so that your university representative, Education USA, even your parents can review everything before you submit. By the way, I work, you know, like, again, us university representatives work sometimes very close with the team of Education USA. So, you know, there are a lot of people that can check your application to make sure that, you know, you get the amount of a scholarship that you actually need. Sometimes students can miss even $5,000, $10,000 value on scholarships just because they leave everything for the last minute. And believe me, because I had one student last year where she missed $5,000 because she wouldn't listen to me. And she was one of the ones that sent me her transcript at 11 p.m. on December 1st. There is not much I can do. There is not much I can do at the moment, okay? So please make sure, again, to not leave everything for the last minute. I know I sound like a broken record with this, but unfortunately, even though I repeat it and repeat it to the students, they keep on leaving everything to the last minute, okay? So I think this is it in terms of the activity. Do you have any questions, or there is anything else that you would like to know at this moment? No? All good? Okay, great. So should we move on to the presentation, or is it too early? Yeah, okay. Great. So then let's move on to the presentation. So unlocking financial support for international students and athletes. Do we have any athletes right now, by the way?
Great question, Rosario. Great
Yeah.
question.
Could I please know if we have any athletes in this room? It seems like we don't. Well, that is good to know because, Pilar, okay. Anyone else? Pilar, do you have a question, or are you an athlete? Can you please let me know?
I'm an athlete.
You're an athlete for which sport?
Well, I don't know if it counts as athletes, but I do ballet.
Oh, okay, wonderful. Okay, so I'm gonna talk a little bit about that just because for athletes and people that practice sports can be a little bit tricky. We don't have ballet, unfortunately, at Xavier, but there are other universities that do. But I just want to know, to make sure, you know, like to know how much emphasis I should put on that. So thank you so much, Pilar, for letting me know. Okay, our first scholarship. So merit-based scholarship. Can you tell me, and just by raising your hand, like you don't need to talk. Can you let me know, please, if any of you had already like heard about merit-based scholarships? Just by raising your hand. Okay, so pretty much, so a good amount of people. Okay, wonderful. So merit-based scholarships are usually what we as universities we offer. So the first thing that you need to know about merit-based scholarships are that they tend to be very, very competitive. And the reason why they're very competitive is pretty much, and especially for international students, is pretty much because of what I had discussed before, which is we're not only evaluating, take into account that we're not only evaluating Mexican students or Latin American students, we are evaluating students from India, Vietnam, China. So you're not only competing with the students from within your country or within your continent, you're competing with the students from different nationalities. So this is why it becomes very competitive. And I'm talking about merit-based scholarships that are not, you know, for one specific region, which is usually the types of merit-based scholarships that universities have. So one thing that I do advise you to look at for this type of scholarships is that you, when at universities specifically, is that when you are looking if, you know, they are for people from, you know, for different types of nationalities, and you're competing with also people from the United States, or if there are merit-based scholarships specifically for Latin American students or for students from Mexico, you know, because these can also kind of like give you a better chance of obtaining this type of merit-based scholarships. Okay, so that is one of the things, you know, if I were a student, I would look at, okay, is this a university that can offer me only a merit-based scholarship, which where, you know, I'm going to compete with students from different nationalities, or do they have a specific scholarship for my nationality? Okay, so for these merit-based scholarships, the first thing that you need to look at is that we as, you know, university representatives look at is academic achievement, talents, the GPA, SAT, ACT, But we don't just we don't look at just one thing. We look at all of these things, right? We also look at your extracurricular activities, your essay, your personal statement, the program that you're going to study at. So in my last chat, one of the things I told you about was that for many universities, the SAT or the ACT is something that is optional. However, if you don't have a great GPA, one of the things that you can use to improve your general score when we are evaluating if we should give a student a scholarship is exactly that, the SAT or the ACT. So even if you don't want to present it, if you have a very good score on these exams, believe me, this can improve your chances of getting a, even $5,000 extra on a scholarship. And $5,000, that to me, that is a lot of money. So please make sure, you do take into account all of these factors when applying for a merit-based scholarship. Merit-based scholarships can be given by universities, private organizations, and foundations. So please make sure, again, that you do your research when looking at this. Universities are not the only ones that give merit-based scholarships. There are some private organizations that, really want to kind of award great students with, that have done in some cases a lot for their community as well. So make sure that you also check that. The amount can vary. So for instance, at Xavier University, we go from $5,000 to $30,000 in terms of a merit-based scholarship. So if we think a student has a good GPA but maybe not a great SAT, then the amount of the merit-based scholarship is going to be different to someone that has a fantastic GPA and a fantastic SAT plus extracurricular activities. So this does not mean that you're not going to get a merit-based scholarship. It just means that the value is going to be different. And the way we analyze this is based on your academic achievements or, again, extracurricular activities, essay, personal statements, we do a holistic approach, and I think this is something that probably I should have written in there. But when we evaluate a student for scholarships, we do a holistic review. And this is how most, universities do it. Okay. Verify if it is renewable and the conditions, if you need to maintain the GPA. So when I say that if it is renewable, so does this mean that once you obtain that scholarship, of $30,000 per year, will this go for, does that support that financial aid is gonna preserve for the rest of your bachelor's degree? Or is it only for that year? So please make sure you check that. Another thing that you also need to make sure is that if the condition for you to maintain that scholarship is that you need to maintain a certain GPA or maybe be part of a certain organization, or especially with, sometimes it happens with private companies, is that they give you support, but it might be that the condition is that you have to do internships at their company. So these are the small, the small letter that I call that you need to double check when applying to merit-based scholarships. Okay. The other thing is that if you need to do a separate application, so this of separate application, I'm talking just when applying for merit-based scholarships for universities. So in the case of Xavier University, we don't require a separate application. So once we use the same records that you use to apply for the university, those are the same ones that we're going to use to evaluate if we give you a scholarship or not. So there is no separate application, okay? Now, there are certain universities that they have the merit-based scholarship for, that you don't need to have a separate application, but then they have other types of scholarships which you will need to have a separate application. So make sure that you don't confuse both. Again, contact your university representative and ask them that if you want to apply for scholarships, if you need a separate application. Okay. At Xavier, well, we have a wide range of scholarships that we give. In average, we tend to give between 23,000 to 30,000 per academic year, and these tend to be renewable. Do we have any questions so far? No? Okay, wonderful. Next, please. Okay, need-based scholarships. So I'm going to go very quickly because these are usually given by organizations or private companies. We don't tend as universities give, need-based scholarships. So you will need, usually for these scholarships, demonstrate financial need. You will need to demonstrate your income. So it's not enough if you say, oh, I'm from an emerging country, we're poor, please just give me a scholarship. That is not enough. Be aware of the deadlines. Be aware as well of the percentage, right, of that need-based scholarship. Again, you can combine a need-based scholarship with a merit-based scholarship. And also, one of the things that you need to check with these need-based scholarships is that they are sometimes given to specific countries. So unfortunately for Mexico, after I did a lot of research, you guys have one of the strongest economies for Latin America. So, alongside Brazil. So sometimes that is not really that great when looking for need-based scholarships, because as you have a really strong economy, it means that organizations and foundations are not really looking at you as a need-based population, Okay, next. So a few of the places where you can look for merit-based scholarships or, need-based scholarships are, again, foundations, private institutions, companies, organizations, or as well private loans. So I'm going to talk a little bit about each, not like in detail, but I'm going to be giving you examples of different scholarships that you can apply to, because at the end, when I was kind of like doing this presentation, all I could think was, what is it that the students really want? Do they want a lecture of the different types of the foundations at private institutions, or do they actually want examples of the scholarships that they can apply to? So I made a lot of effort into looking at specific scholarships for you. So that is pretty much going to be my presentation, to give you a specific examples of the scholarships you can apply to. Okay, so the next, please. So this is the first scholarship that you can actually apply to. And my apologies if the screenshot does not look very good, but I wanted you to have as much information as you could. The link to have a look further at the, you're gonna be sharing these slides, right, Mariana? Okay, perfect. So the link, I put the link just right there so that you can, have direct access. So the first scholarship is the OAS, which is an organization that, has actually multiple scholarships in Mexico, and you have to be a member of the OAS to be able to have access to these scholarships. Fortunately for you, Mexico is one of those countries. So please make sure, that you have a look. The scholarship that I prepare for you today is the Partnership Program for Education and Training. Having said that, if you go to this, yes, Organización de Estados Americanos, yeah, sorry, I think, Yeah, so this information that you have right here is specifically for the partnership program for education and training. However, if you go to that link, you're gonna see like a bunch of other scholarships that the OAS have. And one thing that I would highly advise you to look at is that the OAS already has partnerships with certain universities of the United States. And those scholarships are available at that webpage. And sometimes people don't apply to it and they get lost. Like no one applies to it. So, you know, like that money is there, but no one gets it. So make sure, I don't want to name the universities because as someone from Xavier, I cannot, advertise other universities, but Mariana can. So I will make sure Mariana knows. But yeah, so please make sure you check, and that is the best way in my regards. That is the best way to go. Make sure that you apply to a scholarship with the OAS that already has a partnership with a university, because that will give you higher chance, because you're not going to compete with people from all around the world, from like or all around Latin America, that is applying to to different universities. It's gonna be less competitive. So please make sure you do check out that link. Okay. One tiny thing about this specific scholarship, let's talk about the benefits first. You will have 50% tuition waiver, in-state tuition, registration fee waiver, language training, medical insurance. You can see there, I'm not gonna read all of the requirements, but this is a very good scholarship that you can combine. If you have this combined with a merit-based scholarship, you're pretty much study for free. Okay. One small detail though is that if you choose this scholarship, you need to return to your home country unless you have permission to stay in the country of study to pursue higher education or join an international organization. Okay. So that is, like, again, the tiny letter that sometimes we don't realize. Okay. So if you choose this scholarship, you need to return to your home country. Okay. Next. Was this the second one? Yeah. Okay.
I think so, but we can move forward and then we can come back if you want.
Okay. Okay.
Do you want to
great.
go forward?
No, that's okay. That's fine.
Okay.
This is another one. So I just put this one as an example because, okay, when I was doing all of this research, I realized that in Mexico, you have so many scholarships for postgraduate students. Like I found like 5 for postgraduate students, but you don't have that many for undergrad. So, especially from the Mexican government, unfortunately. But this one is specifically for undergraduate students. So that's why I'm putting this one as an example. It does not mean that in this webpage, this is the only one that you can get. Again, I'm providing the link. So this one is an example. Again, you can apply, you can still apply to it by August 31st. The field of study is unrestricted. And again, one of the things that you need to look at when applying for a scholarship is that if the field of study it is unrestricted, or if it is mandatory that you have to study on one specific field. So for instance, there are certain types of scholarships that are specifically for engineering, or that are specific for arts. So this one specifically is unrestricted and the amount is $5,000. You might think that $5,000 is not much. It might not be much, but when you have this scholarship and maybe you have 2 others, that sums up. This can mean 3 months of accommodation and food. So, and again, this is one that I put there as an example but please make sure you go to that link of the IEFA, because there are multiple of other types of scholarship for undergraduate students there. Okay. Yes, Natalia?
For this scholarship, can I apply and at the same time be applying for the bachelor's degree, or I have to have already like my admission in any school?
So for this one, you must have applied for a bachelor's, or you will apply. So you will need to already have in mind to which bachelor's degree you are going to apply to. You don't need to have the offer letter, if that's what you're asking. You don't need to have the offer letter, but you need to know to which bachelor's degree you're going to apply to and to which university. Okay. But it doesn't have to be, you don't need to have an offer letter ready. That's a good question. Okay, so yes. So again, I put that one as an example, but please make sure you go to this link that I have provided, where you can check all of the other types of scholarships. There were too many with too many little things. Again, the award amounts were not that high, but as I mentioned before, and that's why I brought this one up, is specifically because we think $5,000 is not enough. I mean, it isn't. But if you have two others of $5,000, then, you know, that is in total $15,000. And that does add up. Again, it doesn't need to be only one scholarship. You can apply to multiple scholarships, okay? So when we as university tell you, oh, you only have $20,000, you're gonna be don't worry, I have $10,000 in other scholarships. So, you know. Okay, next slide. Okay, this I have to say, I don't know why, maybe because I read about it too much, but this is, I think, one of my favorite scholarships that I write about. And the reason for this is because the scholarship is specifically for people that have been involved with their community, or that have been volunteering in a community. So, you know, like, this is one of the things where I say, make sure, you know, like when I was talking before about specific scholarships for a specific purpose, this one is one of them. You need to be someone from a Latino origin, from the age of 17 to 24. And is also for, you know, students that want to go, that are from Latino origin, but want to go to study to the United States. It's not that easy to come across scholarships like this. And, you know, have a university cumulative GPA of 3, which I have to say, to me, for a scholarship is a really low GPA, because 3.0 GPA to apply for a scholarship is really low. This is like the minimum requirement that you need to be able to apply for a university in the United States. So, you know, I didn't put all of the requirements there because, of course, I was not gonna fill my slides with just text, but this is the basic information. You know, again, I put the link right there so that you can go directly to the scholarship and apply to it if you want, but please make sure that you check that this scholarship is specifically for people that have been involved in community service or have volunteered in a community. Okay, but this I have to say what was because, again, I think it's important that you apply to universities that are specifically for you, that are not so general. And the reason why I think that is because I think you will become more competitive. So if you're only, you know, competing with Latin American students or only Mexican students, that is better than applying with people from all different nationalities, you know. So yeah, it gives you a better chance. So that's why, you know, I actually recommend looking at scholarships like this. And when you're looking for a scholarship, you know, I'm not going to give you all of the scholarships for Latin American students or for Mexican students. The thing that I want you to get out of this talk is how you can look for the scholarship that is appropriate for you. Besides giving you some examples as well, but this is what you will need to look at when looking for a scholarship, something that is tailored for you so that you can have a better chance of obtaining that scholarship. Okay, next slide. Okay, this scholarship gave me a little bit of a headache, if I'm honest, because I could not find anywhere the link to apply. I don't know if Mariana or Ramiro have heard about it.
I've heard about it, and I've also like tried to get more information, obviously for undergrad students, but it's a mystery really, but it exists. So
yeah, I know. So I actually even contacted Fundación Azteca and asked them about it, and their reply was, we're not connected to that scholarship. And I was like, but you're the ones providing it. So yeah, I'm not sure if it is something more related to Banco Azteca, but this is going to be homework for you guys. Unfortunately, I couldn't find the link, and I'm going to be honest, I looked everywhere for a link to apply. I saw the news, I saw the ceremony awards giving this scholarship for students to go and study an undergraduate program in the United States, but I could not find anywhere the link to apply. It might be, again, as I was mentioning before, it might be one of those really hidden scholarships that you can only apply to when they're active. So my suggestion is go to the Instagram of this scholarship or this foundation or Banco Azteca. I think it would be the best shot, and follow them and look for it, because it's really hard. But from what I could see, it's a fantastic scholarship that pretty much gives you full ride to the program that you want to study. I'm talking about tuition fee, house accommodation, food. So it's a really, really good scholarship, and I think that is the reason why it's so hidden. But I wanted to bring it to your attention. You might do a better job than me. Okay, so and I just provided that example that because I know actually exists. Like they published it into like just a few months ago. There was an award for someone to go and study an undergraduate program of economics and business to Southwestern University. So I know that it is there. It's just like they might not want everyone to apply to it, but we will. Okay, next, yeah. Wonderful. So now it comes the less fun part, which is loans. But why do I wanted to bring this to your attention? I know it's not really about it's not really a financial aid, but at the same time it is. And the reason why I think it is because sometimes students, and what I have realized, students do have the means, their parents can actually afford to maybe pay the tuition fee, but they don't have the financial liquidity to prove that for the I-20, right? So they might be able to afford and to, like by doing payment plans and all of that. But sometimes, and that is a challenge that I see a lot, is that to be able to obtain your I-20, you need to prove that you have the full amount. You have like 20,000 extra dollars to prove that you can send your kid abroad. And this is when I think that the personal loans or the students' loans are actually quite useful, because this is how you can prove that you have financial liquidity. At least just to obtain your I-20. There are requirements. I'm not going to get into the whole visa requirements thing because that is not really my area of expertise. That will be an immigration lawyer. But what I can tell you is that this can help you to achieve that. I think you need to have the amount for at least 1 year. And, but this one specifically from the BBVA, it's an educational credit. And, it can be used for, financial institutions, enrollment and tuition fees, transportation, food and accommodation. You don't have to use it all as well. This is one of the great things about this bank, and it doesn't have such a high interest rate. And you have to be a Mexican resident, and minimum age is 18. So yeah, I just put it there because I think, I see we in Latin America, we are the opposite of the United States. We're so afraid of loans. We don't want to have any loans. Sometimes we restrict ourselves from maybe, go and study abroad because we don't have to have that, that debt. But you don't need to use it all. You can just use it to prove that, to obtain the document that you need to be able to go and study abroad. So again, the link is there. I made sure that it was the web page for Mexico. So yeah, there is an MX there. And yeah, this is a specific loan for educational purposes. Okay, you cannot use it for something else. So next. So these are other two types of loans. These aren't specifically for educational purposes, especially the one from Banorte. This is more of a personal loan. I thought that the interest rate was a little bit high for my taste. But again, it's something, and the reason why I'm providing this information is because we did a workshop recently with counselors from Colombia, and one of the major issues that parents face is proving that liquidity for the I-20. So that is the whole reason why I'm providing this information. And sometimes, if your dream is to go and study in the United States and this is the only way you can get it, it might be worth a try. I do want to bring to your attention the loan from Banco Santander, because that one can cover the expenses by your studies and your tuition. And you don't need to have it for the whole 6 years. You can determine for which amount of time you want to have that loan. Okay. So again, I am providing the links for everything so that you can go ahead and verify all of the requirements for this. So next slide. Now the fun part. Unfortunately, well, we only have one person for that is an athlete, but that's fine. That means I don't have to dive in too much into this information. But I also think that is important for all of the students to know, because sometimes you might come across someone that needs this information. So in the United States, we have different divisions for sports. Yes, Dana.
I have a question.
Yes.
Well, I practice taekwondo, but I don't know if I can apply to an athletic scholarship, because I have never participated in a global tournament or in an important tournament or something like that.
Great. That is a fantastic question, and I'm actually going to dive into that in my next slide. So I will reply to your question, but it's a very important, good question, but it's something I have a whole slide for it. So yeah, I will reply to that. I will start by saying that there are 3 divisions normally for sports, basketball, football, but this means American football, not our football, because for them, our football is soccer. So they also have soccer teams, baseball, tennis, golf, and these are all divided in divisions. Division 1 and Division 2 are the most important ones. Division 1 being, like the most important one. And Division 1 and 2 can offer scholarships. Division 3, they cannot offer athletic scholarships. They might be able to offer merit-based scholarships or other types of scholarships, but not athletic scholarships. So if you're looking at athletic scholarships, please make sure this is an information that you're verifying. if the team that you want to apply to is Division 1 or 2. Division 1 is usually the one that can give a bigger amount of a scholarship. Okay. Since we don't have that many athletes here, I don't think I'm going to dive into this information that much, but just so that you know, there are two main national associations of athletes in the United States, the NAIA, so the National Association of Intercollegiate Athletics, and the National Collegiate Athletic Association. So for both of them, if you're interested in applying for scholarships, you can just go into their webpage, and my suggestion is create a profile, submit a video, and so that is recorded. Many students wait until the last year to do this. You can start doing this since you're 14. If you're a great player in the sport that you want to, that you're participating in, you can do this from a really young age. So make sure you have all of the records for this, okay? One tiny thing for the National College Athletic Association, please make sure you go to the eligibility center. That's the site that you need to go to in order to register and do, submit your video profile and all of the requirements that they need to be able to evaluate the financial aids that, because that's where, okay, so the way it works is that that's where all of the universities go, the ones that are associated to these associations, to kind of look for the talent and provide the scholarships, okay? So next. Okay, in here, I'm just, wanted to show you the Xavier University has a Division 1 sport in 19 sports. But since we don't have any athletes here, I think we can just skip that. And I think this is the last slide, or do I have another one? I thought that I had another one. Oh, okay, no. Then let's go to the one. I thought, wow, I missed one slide.
Oh, really? Let me stop sharing my screen and I will confirm you if I was the one who made the mistake.
Okay.
Just give me 1 sec.
Okay. It might have been that I didn't put it at the end, but that's okay. I can still talk about it a little bit. That's fine. I'll just start talking about it. So for the athletics, and as you were asking Dana about, if you were just practicing taekwondo, if it was hard or not, or, I need to break the bubble of many people, but we don't have that many athletics here, so athletic people. So I'm guessing it's not really a disappointment for many, but getting an athletic scholarship is extremely hard, even for people from the United States. So unless you are part of the national sports team, you have won medals, you have participated in global tournaments representing your country, it is extremely unlikely that you're gonna get a scholarship. So, but Dana, I don't want to discourage you. So if you are practicing taekwondo, you need to put that, again, you need to put that in your application, because if you're doing, even if you're doing it as a hobby, that is really important for us to know, okay? So that still has value. Don't think that, practicing taekwondo as a hobby, oh, it doesn't have any value because I'm not going to get a sports scholarship, right? No, it has extreme value. And it's something we do take into account. Again, as I said before, we evaluate the student in a holistic approach. So it is something that we do take into account when, determining if a student, if we, have the amount of scholarship that we give to a student. So for all of you that are here, participating in a sport is of a high, it has a big importance. It does not mean that if you're not practicing in a professional way, you shouldn't put it in your application. You still need to put it in your application, okay? So how many of you practice sports, or in the case of Pilar, ballet?
Yeah, Marianne.
Sports as a hobby.
Uh-huh.
Marianne, Natalia, okay, Dana. Wonderful. So please, for all of you, Antonella as well. So for all of you, please make sure that you put that in your application. There is a section specifically for extracurricular activities. It asks you about the intensity in which you practice that sport. Even if you are not part of a national team, please make sure that you still describe all of the medals and things you have won, okay? Okay, and there is one important data that I want to bring to your attention, which is that only about 2% of high school athletes are awarded athletic scholarships to compete in college. So that percentage even decreases even more when you are an international student. Personally, I have never met an international student that has won an athletic scholarship. I work with a few university representatives. I've never heard of any of them mentioning that, you know, one of their students has won an athletic scholarship. So, okay, I dance different types of styles, but I don't know if it counts on my application. Yes, of course, it does count on your application, and you can put that in your application. There is a section where you can describe all of the different types of dance that you do. This will give you a chance to kind of like showcase who you really are. So yeah, it is something that you can put in your application. Okay. Sorry, do we have any questions in the chat? I
Yes.
just saw that one.
Well, not in the chat, but Ana Sofia raised her hand.
Oh, okay. Then I guess if, you know, we don't have that many athletics professionals here, I guess we can just move on to the question section.
Since I was little, I've been practicing swimming a lot, but then because of a health issue, I stopped like a year ago. Does it still count if I don't do it like in the present?
It does still count, of course. It is something you have done throughout your life. Again, what we want to see is we want to get to know the student. So if swimming is something that you have done your entire life, but you just recently stopped, that's fine. You can just explain what your you stop. And again, you don't have to explain the whole issue, just to say because of health reasons, as you did just now. I had to stop, but yeah, certainly you can put that in your application. And again, there is also one section in the Common App. It is in the Common App, right, Mariana, that asks which kind of clubs and activities you would be interested in participating at the university.
Exactly, in the Common App. And also, yeah, go ahead, sorry.
Well, no, I was just going to say, if in that section, if you're interested in swimming, Ana Sofia, you can put that in that part of the application. And all of you that have played sports in the past, sorry, many of these big universities, even Xavier, you don't need to be part of the athletics team to be able to play your sport. In the case of Xavier, we have the official swimming team, but we also have clubs that practice swimming. We also have groups that practice swimming. And even if we don't, Ana Sofia, you can just get to Xavier and say, I want to create my own club of swimming. And you can perfectly do that because the university supports that. So make sure that in this section of the Common App, you feel that part. It specifically says, like, if you were part of the university, which clubs or activities would you like to be part of? And just say swimming, just say taekwondo. I don't know which other sports do we have here. If anyone can bring any of the others up. But yeah, you can just mention them.
I just wanted to add, Rosario, that when it comes to scholarships, especially obviously, like you mentioned perfectly, when it comes to money for Division 1, which is like the most competitive division in the US for athletics. In order for international students to apply for a athletic or for a sport scholarship, the athletes need to be in the national team or the Olympics team of Mexico. So that's absolutely competitive. So just to make sure that you have like the real information and you don't expect to, for example, get money from Division 1 and maybe Division 2 if you're not that competitive. And again, I echo what Rosario said, that I just forgot. Oh my gosh, I just forgot. But yes, it's important to mention that I remember now, that it's really rare that international students are awarded this kind of financial aid. And this is a fun fact. The students, like the international students that for the past academic year in the US that got the most money of financial aid for the athletic part were from Canada, and they practiced tennis. So tennis is a sport that international students are really competitive in. But yes, we can, I mean, you can guys discuss this topic with your Education USA advisor, and we can guide you through your application. If you are, I know it's not the case for this bootcamp, but if you know someone who is like super competitive and want to go and study there in the States with this type of money, we can talk.
And the other reason for this, Mariana, as well, if I can add, is that, and I can guess why tennis, because tennis is more of an individual sport, which makes it easier, because the difficulty that as well sometimes international students encounter when they are applying for a team, let's say basketball or soccer, is that you can be the best of your country, but it turns out that you're playing defense. But the team of the university that you want to apply already has a great defense player, and the coach is actually looking for, I don't know any of the soccer, positions, but just say an attacker or someone that makes a lot of goals. And you're not that, because you're a great defense. So, even if you're fantastic and they love you, that is not what they need. So this is the issue that many international students encounter when applying for Division 1 or Division 2 team at a university. You can be absolutely amazing, but it can be as well that is not exactly the position that the team needs at that moment. So do take that into account when applying, for athletic scholarships. I don't know what is the obsession of Latin American with athletic scholarships. Yeah, I get asked about that a lot, and unfortunately, I need to discourage students a lot in, with athletics. Even in Xavier, again, we're a small university, but we are a Division 1 university. I had 3 students this year trying to apply for basketball, golf, and soccer was the other one, and women's soccer, which is really rare, and none of them were able to be part of the team. And again, we're a small university. So yeah, it is, again, as I mentioned before, only 2% of high school athletes are awarded athletic scholarships to compete in college. Does anyone have any other questions? Please feel free to ask. Or is there any other topic that, Mariana, you think maybe we should dive in a little bit more?
I just wanted to add to the conversation that usually, obviously, because of how competitive these divisions are, Division number 1 and 2, like these divisions get the attention of international students. But like, which is like, it is real, it's a fact that Division 3 exists, and that students can actually get academic scholarships from like division, like from schools that have a Division 3 or are part of the Division 3, and these schools can actually grant like full rate scholarships, and then students can practice their sports in Division 3. But like, I'm not saying that no one, but like most of students, especially international students, especially Latin American students obsessed with athletic scholarships and Division 1 and 2, apply to these like extremely competitive divisions, and they tend to forget that Division 3 exists.
Yeah. You know what? I do have to be honest with you on that, Mariana. You know why I don't encourage, but you are Education USA, you're different. I don't encourage the students so much to be part of this Division 3. It is good, as you said, if you want a full ride a scholarship, and it does open a lot of opportunities, but you might have, you might know a lot more about this than me. But what I have seen so far is that Division 3 universities tend to be really small and remote in the country. And
that's why, exactly, that's why no one, like pays
no one
attention to it.
applies to them.
Exactly.
Yeah, because like not many students want to go to a remote place in the United States, to a university that no one has heard of, unless you complete desire, like you don't care about any of that. You don't mind going to a university that not many people know, and it's in a remote location, but you want to study for free. That
Exactly.
is great. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
And Mariana is correct. Division 3, as it is in the presentation, do not offer athletic scholarships, but they do offer other types of scholarships.
It is, and this is, I'm saying this as an Education USA advisor, and it is because students, like most of them, don't want to go to these remote places, like in, I don't know, I'm just like making up my comment, but like in Rhode Island, or I don't know, like South Dakota, like these states that do not have like the attention that, for example, Texas or California or New York have when it comes to like educational destinations. It is because of that these schools are actively trying to attract students.
Yeah.
And they have the money to actually fund that education. But everything comes with a cost, right?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, even some students find Cincinnati a little bit like, oh, what is that? But yeah, I agree. It depends again, and I think this is something we discussed in our last chat. It all depends on what you want and what you're looking for. It's not we can provide all of the information that we can, but at the end of the day, it is your decision what you need to do. So yeah, I don't know if you want us to discuss this athletics part a little bit more, just like since we didn't have any athletic students here. But if you guys have any questions as well, or Mariana, you think there is a topic that we should dive in a little bit more, just please let me know. We still have a few minutes.
No, I think it's okay since we don't have like student athlete, I mean athletes in the session. But we have actually 4 minutes to wrap up. So
okay.
So if anyone have any questions or ideas to discuss, this right now is the moment.
Yeah. And again, I do want to encourage you to keep on playing that sport that you like and putting it in your application. I'm not discouraging that. I'm just discouraging the dream of getting a full ride scholarship, athletic scholarship. That's what I'm, like being honest about. But it is amazing that you play sports, and that has to be part of your application. Okay. Remember the 2 sections that I pointed out? The one where they ask you which activities you want to be part of when you if you're accepted to university, and the other section, which is extracurricular activities. So those are the 2 sections that you need to keep in mind if you're practicing sports. Okay. Sophia. Yes.
Hello. I have a question because yesterday I was looking for a scholarship in Arizona State University.
In which? Where?
Arizona State.
Arizona.
Yes,
Okay.
and
They're
they
everywhere.
don't have scholarships for international students. The only thing they have is like a budget for us, where they determine how much we will pay for the university. And in that case, am I able to maybe enroll on a scholarship to cover those expenses?
You mean that if you can apply to another type of scholarship outside of the university? Yes, of course,
Yes.
100%. Yes, you can. Actually, this OAS scholarship or the Maestro scholarship or the other scholarship, education.org, I think was the one that you can apply to if you want to obtain. But I'm surprised Arizona State does not have a scholarship. I think you should check that with Mariana, because believe me, they are everywhere. In every recruitment fair that I participate at or that I have heard of, Arizona State University is there. So I'm really surprised they don't have a scholarship for international students. That's
They do have scholarships. They do have
yeah,
scholarships, of
okay.
course.
Yeah, so I'm really surprised. I would highly suggest you, Sophia, to have a look at that information again, or ask Mariana to help you out with that, because Arizona State is that huge public university in the United States, one of the largest universities, one of the main competitors for all of us. We all, as university representatives, are kind of afraid of Arizona State because they are heavily recruiting, and that is a huge. They might even have, I wouldn't be surprised if they even have one specific scholarship for Latin American students, just because they actually heavily recruit international students in Latin America. So yeah, and I think if there is a fair, the Mexican College Tour, Mariana, coming up in Mexico. I think they're participating in it. So I would highly suggest you check it, because I think they might have one specific scholarship for Latin American students. Not sure.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't surprise
Yeah.
if they do.
They have a lot, and they also have
okay,
this
great.
agreement with the state of Arizona and Mexico for the in-state tuition. So
Yeah.
they have a lot of benefits. And fun fact, I am an ASU alumna, so I can
Wonderful. Okay. No one
I
better to help you than Mariana then.
alumna is ex-alumna. So I did go to school to ASU.
Okay.
So I can help you with that,
Sophia.
Sophia.
Just ask Mariana, because again, they heavily recruit here, and I'm sure they have a bunch of scholarships available for you. They take all of our. I used to work for another university. They took like half of our students. No kidding. Yeah.
Thank you.
That is the way it works. Any other question or anything else you'd like to know? No? Yes, Natalia?
Question. And in Xavier University, which scholarships are for international students, or are any for specifically Mexican students?
We don't have one specifically for Mexican students or international students. We do have a merit-based scholarship, but I do have to say we don't advertise it this way. We just say merit-based scholarship, but we do have a specific funds for Latin American students. So it's a completely different budget. So the budget allocated for Latin American students, so you wouldn't be competing with the students from India or China or Vietnam. There is already an allocated fund for Latin American students. So, but there is just one merit-based scholarship, and you don't need a separate application. When you apply to the university, we automatically evaluate you for a scholarship. Okay. And one of the things I also would like to add in regards of scholarships from the universities is that, again, contact your university representative, because sometimes the international admissions teams ask us, oh, you have met all of these students. Can you give me a list of students that deserve a scholarship? And if we know you, we know all of your application, your application process, we have encouraged you, we know very well the student, it does help. This is between us, you don't need to advertise this information, but it does help. So it doesn't have to be Xavier. But even, Ramiro knows and Mariana knows, they know very well all of the university representatives from, so many universities use those tools, because it does help when it comes to obtaining a larger amount of a scholarship. Just because we have it, we have you in our minds. Does that reply to your question, Natalia?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, wonderful. And what about the universities that are focused in one sport? Like there is one in North Carolina that is focused in soccer. Those kind of universities can give me a scholarship easier. They might because if they only have one sport, and they're only just starting, it might be easier, but they could also not have as many funds as other larger universities. And it can be the case of what Mariana was mentioning before. If this is a Division 3 university, which I'm guessing it is, because if they only have one sport, they're probably not into all this category. So the scholarship might not be given to you as an athletic scholarship. It might be given to you as an academic scholarship, but sports is something that they take into account, okay, when deciding if to give you the scholarship or not. Okay.
And
So
any other questions, guys?
no worries. You're welcome.
Oh,
Alan.
Go ahead.
No. Alan just said thanks. I was just saying you're welcome.
I'm sorry, Mariana is raising her hand.
Mariana?
Mariana.
Yes, Mariana. Just give me 1 second because my computer is about to die. So just 1 second.
Yes.
Guys, start banking your questions on the chat or raise your hand during this last part of the presentation. And
Okay.
we're about to finish. So go ahead.
Yes, Mariana.
I always wanted to practice ballet, but like didn't have the support of my parents. And now that I'm grown, I start practicing on January. Do I put it or I don't? Because I think that it's like
You put
it's
it,
not so
of
much
course.
time. Oh,
It
okay.
doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It shows that you're interested in something else. It shows what we want to see, you guys, when we're studying the whole application process, is not only your academic part. We don't want to see only that you have been focusing only on your studies. We want to see you as a whole. So 100%. And you can say exactly what you have just told me. Oh, I was always interested in ballet, but I couldn't afford it. Now that I'm an adult, and finally doing it. But yeah, 100%. Of course, it has to be, again, everything that you do, even if you just started 1 month ago because you wanted that to be added to your application, do it. I cannot stress it enough. Do you
Or
think not taking? Yep. Yes, dime, Mariana.
okay, or even they are like Latin American online programs of programming or something like that, or like boot camps. 5 days. Do I put it? Okay.
Yeah, 100%. Put it, especially if you're doing courses. Okay, when would I say not put it? If you have done like 20 courses and they are all from all different subjects, but let's say you have done it in programming, okay? You have done one course in programming and you have 10 other different courses in some other subjects, but you're applying to fashion design. That's when I would say don't put it. Just put the courses related to fashion design. Okay. But if you have done, let's say, 5 courses in programming, even if they were only about, 5 hours, and you're applying to a computer science program, put it. Okay. And this is something, again, that your university representative can help you, or the EducationUSA team can help you to look at. You can send them all of the certificates that you have done, all of them, and they can tell you, okay, these ones are the ones that I advise you to put or not put, or to add or not add. Okay. because it's going to depend. It's going to depend, but all of the information. I had one student, I don't know how they call it in Mexico, but in Colombia we call it izada de bandera. You know, that student that gets chosen once a month to kind of like do the flag and at the school. And she was not going to put it in her application. And then one day I was casually speaking to her counselor and she told me about it. And I was like, are you crazy? How are you not going to put that in your application? You know? So everything has to go in your application. The Common App is wide enough. And I think you already had a workshop about the Common App. So it goes into enough detail for you to put all of this information. Okay. So I have another question from Natalia. It says, do you think not taking the SAT would affect the possibility of getting a scholarship? Ooh, that's a great question. So again, it depends. If you have a great GPA, it does not affect your ability of getting a scholarship. If you have a great GPA. But if you don't have maybe a 3.2, 3.4, let's say 3.4 GPA, then it might be advantageous to actually have an SAT, but only if your SAT score it's good. So let's say 1,300. So that's when it will help you to obtain a higher amount of scholarship. So if you have a great GPA, you don't need an SAT, okay? But if you have a low GPA, an SAT can help you to kind of like improve that overall score when evaluating if we want to give you a scholarship or not. Yes, Natalia?
In my case, I have 3.7 GPA. Would you recommend me to take the SAT?
I don't think that will be necessary if you're applying to Xavier specifically. What do you think, Ramiro? I think a 3.7 GPA is really good.
I totally agree. 3.5 would be the best.
Yeah. So an SAT wouldn't be necessary in this case, but you will need to work on having a very good application as well. But yeah, I don't think it will be necessary for an
And I have a
SAT.
second question, but I don't want to type it in the chat because it's long.
You can just send it to
No,
my email
can I
if you
see it?
want. Oh yes. Yeah, tell me. Sorry.
Should I add this bootcamp in my application and the other courses I've taken in Education USA? Like, I think I take undergraduate course and another bootcamp. And is this relevant for my application?
It is. It is really relevant to your application and to obtain a larger amount of scholarship. And the reason for that, but again, as I was explaining before, if you make sure that the courses you're attaching to your application, that they are related to the program that you're applying to. So if you're going to study architecture, make sure that all of the certificates and that you are, providing are related to architecture or something similar, or arts. But if you have a certificate in programming, but you're applying to arts, then that's not really relevant. You can put it if you don't have anything else. But if you are applying to arts and you have 5 courses of arts and this one course in programming, then maybe let's skip the course in programming and let's just add the 5 courses of art.
And this bootcamp, should I add it to my application?
I don't think so. I don't think so because this is more of an informative session. I don't see it as a course, so I would say no. But again, this is something your university representative and the people from Education USA can help you with. Because if you have 20 certificates, I always ask the students to send me everything, all of it, even if it is not related to the program. And then once I have a look at everything, I decide, okay, this is relevant, this is not relevant for your application. Okay. So to your university representative or the team of Education USA, you can send them everything, okay? And make sure you send them everything. And then alongside with you, you guys will decide which courses to attach to your application. My recommendation is related to your program, okay?
Any other questions, guys? No? Well, thank you so much for asking your questions, guys. And I want to take a moment to express our sincere gratitude to Rosario for being with us today and for sharing this incredible, valuable resources. So, Rosario, I'm convinced that everything that you have shared with us today will not only be useful for our audience today, but it will also resonate with other advices in the future. Your insights are truly, truly valuable for us. And thank you for your time and dedication during these two sessions. And on behalf of our Education USA team, we deeply appreciate everything that you did. And you were like into some important factors and considerations about the significant decision of studying in the United States. So we really appreciate it. And look,
Oh my God.
this is Xavier's mascot.
I cannot believe it. I don't even have one.
Showing off.
It's amazing. I might steal that one when I visit you in Monterrey. That is
I
that
have
is
everything here.
fantastic. Thank you so much. Thank you.
We are going to be going to a break. I'm sorry, before going to a break, Anna, I think, has a question.
Yeah, for example, if you have, I don't know, like 40 certificates of courses that relate
Oh.
to what you want to study, does it give you any type of advantage in your application to, I don't know, someone else that wants to study the same but only has 2 certificates?
I think it depends on the relevance of the certificate. If you have 40, but they're not so relevant, and that person has 2, but maybe, and the intensity as well. If they only have 2, but they were 2 courses of 6 months, and you have 40, but they are courses of 5 hours, then it's gonna take more relevance the one of that has 2, but has done it of 6 months, you know. So yeah, it would really depend. I would need to have a look at all of the certificates and tell you which ones to add and which ones not to add. The way I would divide it, if you have 40, is I would divide it first in length. So the ones that have occupied more of your time, or the intensity of hours. Let's put it intensity of hours. That would be the first filter I would do. And then the second one will be based on topic. And then the third factor I will add to that is that the relevance to the program. One thing I would highly advise you to check if you want to see which ones are more relevant is, for instance, check the subjects that you're going to be studying in that program and see which ones relate to the courses you have done before. Yes, if you have that much amount, I will do those 3 filters to decide which certificates to add. And yeah, again, look at the subjects that you're going to study and see all of the certificates that you have done and see which ones are more relevant. But again, this is a task. If you were going to apply to Xavier and you have 40 certificates, I will ask you to send them all to me. And I would work with you to decide which ones to add or not, because there is also a limit in the Common App application in terms of how many certificates you can add. So yeah. And well, another filter I would add as well to that is the organization that is giving you those certificates. So it's different if you have a certificate from, let's say, Microsoft, than a certificate that, I don't know, from a small family company that does support. It's completely different. So that is another filter I will add to to that if you have 40 certificates, which is amazing. I don't never had a student that has had
That
40
it was an example of like a big number.
okay. But yeah, okay. But if you have 40, that's what I would do. I wouldn't put the 40. I would do those
Okay.
filters first.
Thank you.
No worries. Any other questions? I have to say, I'm impressed by the level of the questions. These all have been like really, really good questions.
They're brilliant. I mean, they love your sessions. You go so like into details, and that's what we love. And we need more sessions like this to reach our understanding and prepare us for our journey ahead. I want to study in the US with your presentations.
Oh, thank you. I hope that at Xavier.
Well, thank you once again, Rosario. Now it's time for us to go to our break, and we will ask our students to join us at 2. So please invite your parents, and for the breakout rooms, invite them as well, because they have also questions about programs, about the cost of attendance, or any other relevant questions to the application. So
And excuse me, Ramiro, for interrupting. But some of our guests speak Spanish, so they will be speaking in Spanish. So your parents and guardians can attend the sessions, and they can know what you're, like asking and your future plans. So please, like, just keep that in mind. And I just shared, Ramiro, the guide for students to use and maybe to check during the break.
thank you, Mariana. So
At what time is it? The breakout rooms session?
2:20.
20.
2:20. Okay, I'm just trying to do the change of time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's in 30 minutes.
Exactly 30 minutes.
30 minutes. Okay, wonderful. Okay, great.
So we'll see you guys.
Thank you,
And
Rosario. We'll see you later.
Yeah. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.